Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Why do Dems support terrorist cells? Ideological connection, communist, very similar ideologies, guys. That's why the Democrats have let the terrorist cells thrive in their cities and states. All right, so the cartels, same situation. So we're going to see the tax. We've already started to see the tax, and I'm going to show you how they've already started. Austin, Texas, where that a guy that was running around shooting. Fortunately, the police before the good old boys got there. So Texas, they're not going to. Texans are like, there's a shooting somewhere. Let's pick up trucks, flying down the highway. So we're going to need people like that. The police are going to be overwhelmed, and it's going to be not so good in a lot of these other states because Texans have guns, lots of guns, and most of these other states, not so much, right? So they're going to be hurt. They're going to be hurt bad, all right? So the ideological connection with the Dems, who are Marxist communists. I'll show you how the mayor of LA has been to Cuba 15 times, right? Now we're probably going to see Cuba within the next few weeks basically be freed, just like Venezuela was. And this is going to continue. However, the heavily entrenched Iranians are going to be a different story. So we're going to have to put troops into Iran. I know everybody's like, oh my God, no one ever said this was going to happen. It's got to happen, right? Straits of Hormuz have to come in and probably occupy that. I don't know how that's going to go down. Maybe we'll have 82nd Airborne guys jump in because the Marine Expeditionary Forces in off the Caribbean. I think normally there's one in the Mediterranean. So I don't know. I don't know if they'll come through Suez Canal, come down or whatever. I haven't looked, but I know there is no. At least that's what I'm led to be informed about, that there is no Marine Expeditionary Force off the coast of in the Gulf area. So normally there is, I guess, wherever it's at, it's maybe going to be secreted. Maybe it is secreted there already. I don't know, but there has to be land taken. You can only bomb so long, and you have to put troops on the ground and own territory. So we have different groups. The Kurds are probably going to launch here pretty soon. It could be a coordinated thing where the Kurds come in. I think the Tajiks are also maybe coming in, and the Baluch possibly down along the coast of Hormuz. So Straits of Hormuz. So we may see all these different groups, start to move, and combined with American firepower from jets and so forth, and maybe even start to see helicopters. Then they'll be, easily eating up some land and taking down territory. So that's what's probably going to happen. It's not a probability; it has to happen, right? So this is the way wars are run. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, we're going to get quagmired in there." It's like, no. I don't see that at all. I see that we're probably going to do the Straits of Hormuz, control that until the time where every bit of the potential for strikes from the IRGC or the Marine Iranian Marines and police force and like over 1 million fighting men throughout Iran. So it is going to be challenging, to take them all down. You can only bomb so long, guys, right? You can bomb for weeks and weeks and weeks, and just like we did very similarly in Iraq, the Marines came in, right? And from the north, we had the Kurds and some American spotters that came in and called in fire. So the Kurds, we've worked with the Kurds before. The Bush administration effed over the Kurds, basically telling them in no uncertain way that they were going to be supported against Saddam Hussein. So they rose up against Saddam Hussein, and Saddam Hussein gassed them, hammered them, and the jets never came in. Kind of like what happened in Cuba. The jets never came in. So and I think that was good because President JFK, he was not having that mess. And so we had former CIA guy, should have gotten involved, and he didn't. And he was involved with the JFK assassination. So Bush Sr. So he really effed over the Kurds. And I've worked with the Kurds. I've talked with the Kurds about this. They're very disappointed, but they're still friends of the U.S. unbelievably. So luckily, and we'll see probably in the future, near term, the Kurds are going to move into Iran. So they've done little things in Iran before. They're not strong or have enough firepower because the Iraqi government was always had them under the thumb. Now, the Kurds have just about as much oil, if not more oil, than the middle and southern areas of Iraq. So the southern areas have a lot of oil. The middle, not so much. So the northern has more than both of them combined. And so the Kurds have tried to break off and do their own thing. Of course, Turkey's not too happy about that because they want to control the Kurds, and the Iranians weren't happy about it because they want to control the Kurds. So we may see the Kurds make some inroads into Iran, seize territory, and when you bleed for territory, usually you keep it. But we'll see. I don't think our troops that go in, if we bleed troops, which probably will happen, we're not going to hold that territory, right? Kind of like what we did in Iraq. We held that territory for a long time. But the Iraqis, I believe, at this point, are better off that we did that invasion, right? So they had almost like Iran has a very ruthless dictatorship that we toppled. That was one good thing we did. And then we came in and tried to manipulate that whole country, and it didn't work out, right? So, that's what everyone is looking at. They don't want to see another Iraq. They don't want to see another Afghanistan. They're not, because President Trump has proven that he's going to allow American troops to kick ass. He's always done that. So when American troops are able to, the most powerful military in the history of the earth, are able to, use their combined might, then they are a devastating force, and they take care of business very quickly. So, of course, there will be, detractors of having American troops put on the ground. The deep state and the Democrats and so forth, which is the same thing, will, cry and whine. The press, which is deep state as well, will cry and whine and put out false information. I've seen so much false information, like a B-1 had been shot down, and Iranians were displaying it in their country, and they sunk the Abraham Lincoln. It's like, what the heck is all this bullshit that's going on out there? So we've talked about this disinformation for a long time. And there's probably a little bit that happens from both sides, but some of that stuff you got to use a little common sense. I look at that and I'm like, how many people are looking at that bullshit? And then there's some people out there that are conservative Trump haters. I was like, what the heck? So there's a lot of stuff that's pushing back on America achieving greatness. They're putting out false you know, people, you know, saying that they don't agree with the war. That's bullshit. Most Americans do agree with the war. I think it's like 87% or something crazy, which makes sense because usually when we go to war, Americans get behind that until and if they start to see bullshit, kind of like what we saw in Vietnam, Afghanistan, you know, a lot of those wars. So this time is absolutely different because we have a president that actually allows the troops to actually, you know, kick some butt. And so that's going to be very interesting how that works out going forward, how quickly things get taken care of. But again, we will put troops on the ground, right? And they will come from other countries. And there will probably be some benefits for them to do that. And probably those have already been coordinated. And those are actually probably good things. So one group, Azerbaijanis, I think, or whatever country it is, if they come in and get around this one area, they'll be able to start sending their oil, which is very, very substantial, into Turkey and then into Europe, right? So there's a lot of different things that are positive, and it will work out that way eventually, but you have to be aware that there's going to be a lot of people out there trying to persuade you that this is a bad thing, right? I haven't seen anything bad yet, and if I do see something bad, I will let you know immediately. You know how I don't like baddies, right, at all, right? I will point them out in a split second. All right, so this is unconditional surrender.
Surrender is when he, as commander-in-chief of the United States military and the leader of the free world, determines that Iran can no longer pose a threat to the United States of America and to our troops and our personnel in the Middle East. That is, again, the ultimate goal of Operation Epic Fury, to annihilate their Navy, to take out their ballistic missile threat, which we have largely done in the course of just 6 days.
All right. So I guess that's good enough for that one. All right. So we're definitely moving in the right direction. Here's another one. Trump said today that Trump would be hit very hard. So these things usually happen on the weekend, so they don't affect the markets as much. But we'll see. We'll see. I haven't heard anything about, you know, Trump being hit hard today, but, you know, it's still early, right? Their time. So we'll see what happens. Now, we're going to start to look into who may get involved in, you know, coming into Iran, and how they will, you know, ran so far away. I ran so far away. So let's look.
Hey, Kaylee. So at this hour, Israel and Hezbollah are exchanging fire across Israel's northern border with Lebanon, while the United Arab Emirates are reporting incoming Iranian ballistic missile fires and a drone attack as well. So take a look at some of the damage here in these regional countries. This all comes after Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian promised that Iran's neighbors would not be attacked anymore. Right here, you see.
So he promised they wouldn't be attacked anymore. Of course, they are being attacked. And as he was talking, and what are they trying to accomplish with that? What they're trying to do is, of course, they're not very good at it because they have the IRGC and other units that are basically independent of each other, it seems like, and they do their own thing. They have their, you know, marching orders of what they're going to do, and they're implementing that. So the leadership is just, they're not following the leadership. They feel that they're more powerful, and in some ways they are. Obviously, they have the guns and the missiles and so forth. Not so many anymore because I think they shot 5 missiles yesterday. That's all they had left. 300 the first day, then it was like 175, and then 80, and then 50, and now 8, and I think 5 today. So they're dwindling. Their supplies are dwindling. Their abilities are being eliminated as far as like every time they launch, then American forces, jets, Israeli forces, jets come in and hammer it. Now, I think that the Israelis, Israelis and the Americans are working together to take down these elements. Obviously, Israel worked for a long time to take out Hamas. I don't agree with the way they did it, but it is what it is. And then also Hezbollah. Now, I feel that, and I keep saying this, and maybe it's not ever going to happen because Beirut, Lebanon, they don't have the power anymore. The Muslims have decimated their communities, just like they're decimating communities in America, and they're decimating communities throughout Europe. They just don't have the power to push back on them anymore, the Christians, whatever. So, and that was the same thing in Iran when the radical Muslims came in and slid their way in and fooled everybody that they were going to be good for them. Everything's going to be better. They found out the hard way that it was not going to be better. It was going to be horrific. And every time they stood up to try to push back, they got annihilated by elements of Hamas and Hezbollah that would come in and do that work for them. And of course, probably IRGC members would track down families, eliminate families, and eliminate people within families that were causing problems and set the example, hanging them all over the streets, from cranes and all kind of crazy stuff. So President Trump basically told them, you start hanging people, we're going to, really come in hard. And they started killing people in other ways, guys. All right. We can't hang them in public. Okay. We'll just kill them in their own houses and just leave them there. So that's probably what was happening. Or they came and snatched them, took them to some, underground prison somewhere, tortured them, and then killed them. So that's the way these guys have been operating for 47 years. All right. And they have been decimating the old Iranian people. And Christians, more Christians in Iran than there are Muslims, believe it or not. And the Christian population is growing. But in Iran, if you are a Christian openly, then you can be executed, right? So that's there is no freedom of religion, but of course, people are practicing in an underground way, kind of like they did in Rome in the early days when they had Mithras. That's very similar to, Christianity. But they eventually, said, okay, you guys can practice and we won't, kill you anymore. That's never going to happen or would never have happened with the Iranian regime. They would continue to murder and massacre people, which they were proving they've been doing it for, decades. So the only way to stop that is to take them out. Now they were going to be, and I've been telling you for decades, I worked in the Middle East, and the problems were from Iran, right? They fomented terrorism, and they fomented, the overthrow of governments and, secret groups that came in and caused problems and so forth throughout the Middle East, Lebanon being one of them, right? So that's where we're at. We're decimating them, and Iran defiant as strikes continue in the regions. So missiles, bombs, soon troops.
Dubai International Airport got hit with an Iranian drone this morning. Shortly before that, an Iranian drone damaged an oil facility in southern Iraq. Iran also claims it hit an oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz this morning. Meanwhile, Israel launched a new wave of strikes in Lebanon. Take a look at this new video. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, blames the president of Lebanon for not disarming Hezbollah. The U.S. bombing campaign continues in Tehran as well. President Trump promises, as you mentioned, a big wave of attacks today, as so far the U.S. has struck more than 3,000 targets in Iran during the first week of Operation Epic Fury. The U.S. also sunk 42
All right, so 3,000, struck 3,000 targets, sunk 42 ships. Still a drop in the bucket, guys. Still a drop in the bucket. And the Straits of Hormuz will have to occupy that area, and like I said, we're going to talk about that. but it's going to come. I think it's going to happen simultaneously from multiple directions, and that's going to, take them. They can't focus all their troops in one area and decimate it. They'll have to spread themselves thin, and that will make it easier for these operations to continue and gain a foothold, and then more.
At least as the U.S. continues to upgrade Iran's offensive and defensive capabilities. Also, we're learning from an overnight Israeli strike in Tehran that Israel destroyed at least 16 planes at an airport in Tehran used by Iran's IRGC. We'll send it back to you, Kaylee.
Nate Foy, thank you. Keep us updated. Well, could America's Kurdish allies usher in the next phase of the war? Reports are suggesting that the pro-America Iranian minority faction are amassing along the Iranian border and may be preparing to fight. President Trump has apparently spoken to Kurdish leaders.
The president has held many calls with partners, allies, and leaders in the region, in the Middle East. He did speak to Kurdish leaders with respect to our base that we have in northern Iraq. But as for any report suggesting that the president has agreed to any such plan is completely false.
When asked to-
So he's not going to give up information, guys. So he's not going to openly say, yeah, the Kurds are going to go in and kick some butt. All right, now, the Kurds, you've probably seen videos of them, and they have women within their units and so forth. Now in Kurdistan, it is a gorgeous area, absolutely gorgeous, beautiful forest, fields, and the people very friendly, very Western-like. Women wear jeans and no hijab, head covering, unless they want. They can, of course, if they want. There are very few burqas. And why? And so, as I'm saying that, why do you think that area is beautiful and the rest of Iraq and the Middle East is shit, is ghetto shit? Why? Because they suppress their women. So the earth, Mother Earth, is a certain type of energy. And if you defile her and, throw trash and so forth, like you see throughout the Middle East, it's not so good, right? The environment doesn't respond well, and it starts to withdraw and becomes desert-like, and not in the Kurdish areas, though. So in some areas of the Middle East, there are, factions that are, more moderate. They're not extreme Islamist, and they're more beautiful, right? But the areas that are, have the, Man Love Thursdays, and, the crazy, stuff that they want to kill Americans. They say death to America, like they have been, just within that faction, though, of the, crazies, the extremists, right? Now we have those factions here in America. We have those factions in Europe, right? So you go to those areas and they're ghetto. They're ghetto. They're disgusting. The men are disgusting. They're raping women everywhere. And Europeans are just looking the other way. It's pathetic, right? So this is what happens. It's very easy to spot where the radical Islamists are. Their women are burqa'd up, and their environment is a ghetto, right? So look around the U.S. and see where that is, and you will see where people are like that, and you will see ghetto.
About a Kurdish rebellion, President Trump told Reuters, quote, "I think it's wonderful that they want to do that. I'd be all for it." And according to the New York Times, Kurdish forces based in Iraq are preparing armed units that could open up a new offensive with U.S. support. Joining me now is former CIA Director General David Petraeus. General Petraeus, you were, as I noted, the former CIA director, and Axios has a headline that the Kurds backed by Mossad CIA could lead the next phase of the war in Iran. The CIA, as you would expect, and the Mossad declined to comment. But do you suspect that the CIA could be working with the Kurds on the border of Iran?
Well, we have worked with Kurds for decades, actually, really, at least since the end of the Gulf War, the first Gulf War. We worked with them to provide their air cover during that time. It was called Operation Northern Watch. We worked with them very closely during the toppling of the Saddam Hussein regime and subsequently. In fact, I was just back there a few months ago, as a matter of fact. They have
All right. So the toppling of the Saddam Hussein regime. So again, it was Kurdish forces, U.S. Special Forces guys, very small number of them, that called in airstrikes on targets, and then the Kurds would come in and just clean it up. So we blast the hell out of them. The Saddam Hussein left people that were in the north, and the Kurds were very happily came in and wiped them out. So that's what's going to happen with these radicals that are in the northern Iranian area where the Kurds are going to come in from. All right, so this is going to be multiple groups that are striking, I think, simultaneously, and that's one of the reasons why we haven't seen them move yet. All right, so there's, I think, maybe, and I think not maybe, but very, very strongly, that there will be some type of U.S. military involvement, probably some of the islands that are along the Iranian coast. Some of them have large oil reserves and also airports, and they haven't been bombed. How about that? So sounds like we're looking at occupying that, and then eventually moving inland, and or helping some of the Baluch tribes and so forth come in. And I always like the Baluch are all in Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. They make great carpets. And so good people too.
Fighters, the Peshmerga, as they're called, are very, very hardy, very disciplined, very fit. But they are a small force, and you're talking about a country of 92 million, 93 million people. They have perhaps 10% of that at most. So I think you have to be a bit measured about what it is that they can bring to bear, even with help in some ways from Mossad and perhaps from the CIA. But if this is the initial element, if there are other elements that come along, there's some possibility. The real question, though, I think, Kylie, is will there be an element of the regime that breaks off? Because keep in mind that the regime forces, when you total them all up, the Revolutionary Guards Corps, a couple 100,000, the besieged militia, again, similar number, the National Police, 250,000, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, 400,000. When you add it all up, you're talking about 1 million men under arms, and they have shown a willingness to kill their own people. Tens of thousands of the demonstrators in January alone, and arrested tens of.
All right, so we're going to probably see those guys kick off here pretty soon, within the next few days. So we're in, the second week, so day 7 or 8, whatever it is. So I guess we could say it's day 8, because if you do 7 days from last Saturday, today would be the 8th day. So probably a couple more days. I think probably on Monday-ish, we're probably going to start to see these guys launch, and then maybe some American military units start to seize islands in the Gulf out there and around the Strait of Hormuz. And eventually we'll start to see the shipping kick in very soon after that, because it's very important, because, Dubai and all those areas, they have to have, food come in. They're dependent on food coming in from shipping, and shipping hasn't been running for a while. So they're getting close to, running out of food. All right. So it's going to start up one way or another. And President Trump seems to have a plan to get it moving. So we'll kind of move into that. So his plan is basically to open the Strait of Hormuz. Lloyd's of London, those Brits, Lloyd's of London pulled from, insuring ships going through the Strait of Hormuz. So these criminal Brits, I keep saying we should just go in and take down the city of London. Just send the Marines into the city of London, right? The Brits will like that too, I believe. So So Lords of London stopped the stopped the money flow for the shipping, and President Trump is coming up with a plan to restart it with an American-backed plan. The one he's thinking about. So JP Morgan says it's too small for the risk. Insurance agent. So the insurance agency that he's going to tap, they have a cap on how much money they'll insure. So somehow President Trump has to find more money and expand the insurance from the cap that it's in. I don't know if he needs the government to do that or what. So here it is right here, DFCs. It's a U.S. International Development Finance Corp, which is the international investment arm of the U.S. government. And some of the DFC's largest projects are those above $150,000 have included financing global vaccine procurement in poorer countries. So, they can move some money around if they want for who they want. Now, will they, are they like in bed with, the Brits and JP Morgan or whatever? So I don't know. Maybe Trump will have to take it over. So it sounds like it might be corrupt if they're pushing money for vax. I don't know. So they estimated that 329 oil tankers are in the Gulf, in addition to hundreds of container and other types of ships. So like I said, you have to have those container ships with all that food come through there and, offload to all those countries that depend on that. They're about ready to go into starvation mode, right? So that will get everybody really excited. You have people start to starve and not get food. You get some serious riots going on. So that's got to happen within the next few days. It's not if, but when. Not if, but when. So it can't last much longer that these people don't get their food, right? So they can fly just so much in, which they're probably doing. But those tanker ships, you could fly all day long for a week and still not get the amount from one tanker ship, guys. And they have hundreds out there ready to bring in food. All right. So this is military summary. I followed him for a long time on the Russia-Ukraine war. He does a really good job. He did a really good job of breaking down, the possibility of different groups coming in and attacking Iran. So let's listen to a little bit of this.
Stated Iran will beg for peace, let us pick their new leader. So all these statements mean just one thing, that the United States of America is ready to begin the ground operation. That is ready to start the ground operation most likely is a wrong sentence about the situation in this area. It's better to say that the things that are currently happening on the territory of Iran are forcing the United States of America to start the ground operation, and probably completely unprepared for this ground operation. Today we received a very interesting map. If you remember, during the previous days we discussed that most likely the ground operation will take place probably in the northwestern parts of Iran, and most likely the Kurds formations and groups would be used for this offensive operation.
All right. So again, the Kurds, if you're having a hard time understanding his accent, but the Kurds are getting ready to make their move. Now they're way up there in the north. They will start and help other groups that are probably secreted, guerrilla type groups that are secreted throughout Iran, and they will help supply them, I believe, because you're hearing that Mossad and CIA are going to supply the Kurds. Do they have tanks and armored vehicles and so forth? I assume they probably do, but on what kind of level? Because, like I said, the central and southern Iraq really put their thumb on the Kurds, right? So they don't want them to get too powerful because they depend on the Kurds' oil. And the Kurds are like, why the hell are we paying these idiot savages, letting them take our oil? Because they have no other route. They can't, there's no other, they talked about building pipelines. The U.S. government has, again, said they were going to support them on different projects and so forth. The Turks are not happy about that. They don't want that to happen because they have a very large population of Kurds in Turkey. They don't want them to get too powerful and get a lot of money either. So the Kurds are great people, but they're being suppressed, all around from everybody. So I don't know what's going to break that free. Hopefully President Trump has a plan, but let's listen a little bit more.
The state forces of Azerbaijan, and we discussed that this operation is not enough to, let's say, to finish tasks and to finish the goals of this limited combat operation. We discussed that the coalition, first of all, needs to unblock the Strait of Hormuz. But to do this, the only way to do this is to establish complete control over the Iranian side of the Strait of Hormuz. If it happens, of course, then we can say that
so this has to happen. This area right here will have to be occupied by some force, right? And I don't know if the Trump administration has planned this out or what, but hopefully get something. They're going to unleash her pretty soon. But if they don't, it's going to not be so good. So the Baluch that are over here that I talked about, they may be able to convince them to get involved. But again, how much firepower do they have? Of course, they're in Iran. They're not going to have any firepower. They've been suppressed just like all these other groups. So you're probably going to have to, I think there's no way around American troops getting boots on the ground.
Managed to achieve its goals and so on. But we discussed, when talking about the northwestern part, everything is clear. We understand who is going to be involved in this operation, what kind of forces would do this, and so on. But there were lots of questions how exactly the coalition is going to achieve its goals in the southern parts of Iran. And today we received this map where we can see how exactly this operation may look like.
All right. So I can't make this. Here it is, the Baluch militia. So right over here, see, here's Afghanistan and Pakistan. So the Baluch, all in here. Like I said, they got great blankets. Right, I've bought many of them over the years. They could come in and start to move, right? And they would probably be open to that. And then you have the, like we just talked about, in northern Iraq, the Kurds. So here's Iraq, here's the southern end, and then there's another group that's I think it's Azerbaijanis. So, hopefully he says it in here, but all three of those and American forces coming in, I think it would be devastating and a very quick takedown of Iran.
In addition to Kurds, there is another minority group in Iran that could be exploited by the United States to create a second land front and launch points for an insurrection to overthrow the Iranian political regime. These are the Baloch, one of the poorest peoples in the country. Economic conditions and discrimination have been vectors of insurrection in Iranian Balochistan, where guerrilla movements seeking independence for the region have emerged over decades. A U.S. promise to grant them a greater autonomy in the new Iran or even independence could be enough for Baloch armed groups to launch a wave of attacks against the Iranian armed forces and foment insurrection. So according to this map, this group of Baloch is located in the southeastern parts of Iran, and we are talking about this territory. And as you can see, this territory is very close to the Strait of Hormuz, which means that most likely these units are going to be maybe used for this offensive operation. And furthermore, as you can see, this region of Iran is located very close to the Gulf of Oman and very close to main positions of the airstrike carrier group. I would like to remind you that when talking about this territory, there is another airstrike carrier group of the situation. And today we got report, according to Western media, the Russians and the Chinese supply and support the Iranian state with intelligence each other. We continue receiving updates from the states of the Persian Gulf. For example, probably the worst update is this one. The Arab Persian Gulf countries are on the brink of a famine. The United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Qatar imports 99.
So they're on the brink of famine. So they import like 90% Kuwait and Bahrain and Abu Dhabi, whatever. So we'll see. We'll see. We're going to see some movement to get these ships rolling, guys.
% of their food. Saudi Arabia 70-80, and most of this import goes through sea, through the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, which means that we know that Dubai is a very big city with millions of people there. And if the situation with products continue worsening, then in 10 days we might see the biggest disaster ever since the beginning of probably even 20th century, since the, let's say, the period of the Second World War. So something like this might happen. Furthermore, we continue receiving reports that the price for oil is continue growing. The crude oil prices reach an all-time high of 92.5.
So went up to 92. If that oil doesn't start moving next week, you're going to see 100 plus in the first couple of days of next week, right? So it is very imperative. Yes, Durker. That's right, Paul. Very good. We're going to see a lot of movement, and Trump has said that American ships, U.S. Navy ships, will come in and support and protect the ships as they come through. They have those naval drones, guys, that are very, very low in the water, hard to see, and they can come in, and they did it in the Black Sea where they took out a lot of Russian shipping and so forth. So it could be very difficult to manage that Gulf unless they have physical control of the land side and can sweep and make sure there's no drones, water drones, whatever, that are out there. All right, so. Yeah, if you get some questions, if I do see caps, it might catch my eye and I might answer them. So here's another one. Goes a little bit deeper, I think, into the possibility of different forces getting involved.
Is going to be involved into this landing operation in the southeastern part of Iran. So what is going to happen? Once again, the United States of America and the coalition has just 10 days to unblock the Strait of Hormuz, because in 10 days, the United Arab Emirates would be completely out of food, of fresh food. This is the situation that is currently taking place in this area. There's only 10 days worth of fresh produce left in Dubai. This is according to Stephen Paul, head of the world's largest logistics companies. Currently, about 18% of global air freight capacity is unavailable. Logistics in the Persian Gulf countries is suffering the most at their ports, and airports are practically at the standstill. So, which means that's
So again, even if they could come in, landing aircraft and unloading them, taking off, and then landing more aircraft, taking them, unloading them, taking them off. They're attacking the airports as well, and they shut down a lot of these airports. So Iran has. So that's another problem, obviously. So yeah, it's getting pretty dicey out there. And of course, Iran is saying, hey, if you want to be cool with us, then we'll open the Strait of Hormuz up and you can get your food. That's kind of what they're alluding to while they're blowing them up with more drones. Right? So It's the same old Iranian, terror that they've been using for a long time. This is going to start happening in U.S. cities as well.
Humanitarian disaster is going to begin in 10 days, and then the situation will only worsen. So that is why the United States of America and the coalition has just 10 days to begin this offensive operation in the southeastern part of Iran, just with one purpose: to establish complete control over the Iranian side of the Strait of Hormuz, and most likely the 82nd Division, Airborne Division of the United States of America, would be involved into this operation. But for these purposes, during the next 10 days, the United States of America most likely will bomb and attack these territories significantly with all type of weapon and with all means they have, with the purpose to destroy every single square kilometer of strongholds and positions of the Iranians in this area. And when it happens, the United States of America will deploy their forces and their is offensive operation or the landing operation in the area of the island by the name of Hark. This is a very important island, and as you can see, there is this island is rich with energy infrastructure, oil infrastructure. As you can see, most territory of the island is aircraft, is under the airfield, which is a strategical position, could be used for the United States of America as a strategical position to develop offensive operation on the ground further in the direction of the central Iran, and there are lots of facilities for oil. So, and as if we increase the number of updates since the 28th of February of 2026, you would see.
All right, so it would make sense, because they don't want to disclose what their plans are. So that's why I believe they don't have a Marine Expeditionary Force landing force there. And who knows, maybe there's one that's secretly moving at high speed there. But, the way things are these days, somebody would probably notice and dime them out. So the 82nd Airborne, they can fly them in. I think they have been, maybe. There's been a lot of movement into the Gulf area for months now, right? Lots of movement, heavy lift aircraft, which means they're probably coming in with tanks and armored personnel carriers and all kind of crazy stuff. So now how to get them across that water, right? Some of them can be flown and landed. So you saw where that one little island was. It could be a jumping off point where they can land in some areas and offload, armored vehicles and so forth and manpower. Or parachute them in. That's another option for obviously for the 82nd Airborne. That would be like phenomenal. That'd be like, World War II type stuff. So there is that possibility that they will come in that way, that mode, that manner. It remains to be seen. You're not going to hear about it. This is just speculation on my part. And if they have been planning it and keeping it quiet, awesome. Good job. If they have a surprise type thing, that's what is needed to get them on the ground safely without being fired upon. So who knows? We may see that coming in the days, but it has to happen very soon. Has to happen very soon, right? Within the next few days to a week at the very latest, which I don't think is going to be that long. That's a long time out. All right, so here is a breakdown of what's actually in the area and the capabilities. Now, know that they've been firing off a lot of missiles. U.S. has, like you heard, 3,000 targets have been hit. So a lot of those have been coming from the aircraft, from the 2 carriers that are out there, also from probably cruise missiles coming out of there's like 3 submarines that are in the area. And then, of course, all the destroyers, with all their munitions on them. They have I think 11 or 13 different destroyers are there. And then, so you got to have a lot of support ships, to bring, to outfit them again. And it sounds like they're bringing in one more carrier, 3 carriers into the area. So the current deployment is very significant concentration. Probably same thing, probably hasn't been seen since World War II of this level. So you have the Abraham Lincoln and the Gerald Ford that are there right now. So there's probably, I think there's another one that's coming in. I don't know the full detail about that one yet. I just heard it briefly. Of course, they can fly, B-1 bombers, B-2 bombers, B-52s, which they've been doing. They can have a significant, impact. Bad on the Brits and the Spanish for not letting us use their bases to, launch from. So I think they're going to pay for that at some point. So here we are, naval, surface, and subsurface posture. They have the Tomahawk missiles that are out there. Carrier strike group, as you see here, Abraham Lincoln, Gerald Ford, like I said. And let's look at all the destroyers. Look at all these destroyers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I was right, 11. So 11 carriers, or not carriers, but destroyers are out there. Of course, they have lots of strike capabilities on these ships too. But again, when they use that, it has to be resupplied. And I'm sure they have, when I was over there, all throughout the, Middle East and all throughout the area, throughout the whole world, we have pre-positioned ships that have lots of cargo and stuff on them so that they can come out and resupply. So they're all over the place. So they're probably coming in and resupplying. So as you see here, a couple of Ohio class submarines and Virginia, Los Angeles class. So they can also do special operations. And so can some of these destroyers. So special operations, meaning, Navy SEALs, pretty much because it's from the water. Of course, Green Beret train in some of these capabilities as well, but obviously not as at the depth and level that SEALs do. So the SEALs very, very possibly could be doing some of these strikes that are coming up. Now the number of it's incredible. The submarines have 22 vertical launch tubes. I don't know, maybe they were outfitted at one point for ICBMs, and now they can hold Tomahawks, cruise missiles. And the cruise missile usually has about 1,000 pounds of explosive, so it's it can have they can have like and it's rare, but Tomahawks also can have those anti-personnel where they just like pop out all these little bomblets. So that's a possibility for these guys too. So here we go. Amphibious Ready Group, nowhere. Notably, the massive U.S. military buildup lacks a dedicated amphibious readiness group. So Iwo Jima is in the Caribbean Sea. USS Boxer is currently underway in the Pacific. Is it underway to that area? So I don't know. So they also have a very high level of capability. So, and of course, all the different aircraft, Raptors, Fighting Falcons, F-35s, F-15, 16s, 18s, 35 Alphas, 15Es. So a lot of these are coming from Saudi Arabia and Jordan bases, Syrian, and so forth. So lots of bomber task force, of course, B-52s, B-2s. So you have pretty much one of the largest build-outs of military, firepower that's ever been seen. So this is an incredible time. And then you have command and control aircraft that are up there, U-2S Dragons. I've been on some of these E3. I've been on E3s before. They're absolutely incredible. They can look at the whole air, land, and air, and sea. They can look at everything that's on the land, air, and sea. And you got different officers that are at on different screens, and they can coordinate the movement of aircraft and And that's what's happening. They coordinate the movement of aircraft and get them refueled, and then get them, landed and get them taken off again, from all their different places and land bases on sea. It's incredible. It's incredible, all the coordination that goes into something like this, right? So then you have the tankers. There's like these strategic E3s and so forth. They'll coordinate the air refueling and bring in the tankers, and it's like, okay, it's time for you to fuel up, and then they'll come up. And so there's different layers of where the aircraft strike from, where they get refueled from, where they do reconnaissance from, all kinds of different layers that are out there. It's staggering, all the coordination that goes into something like this. And it's miraculous that we don't have more aircraft and ships and so forth crashing and doing everything. It's because of this incredible coordination. So fantastic, the stuff that goes on. All right, so now let's go into home. All right, so not only we're going to have to fight these savages overseas and destroy their base of operations and their funding sources, but we're also going to have to, fight their cells that have implemented themselves into the Democrat cities throughout America. All right. So again, it's the ideology of the Democrats that is allowing these terrorist cells to occupy and launch from their cities. Right. We've already seen one from Austin. Austin is a very blue city, very blue. You probably have more Californians in Austin now than you do Texans. All right. So it's not so good. Not so good, guys. And as we move forward, we're going to see, a lot of this stuff has to be taken care of. So just like we're seeing, we're taking care of, the baddies overseas in Iran. That's, like I said, when we take down Iran, when Iran's gone, the Middle East is going to be ecstatically, fantastically, there's going to be the economic boom that's going to happen because everyone had to have so much in place to fight the Hezbollah and the Hamas and the Iranian-backed terror cells and so forth. It's going to be staggering. The economic prosperity that's going to it's going to boom. Of course, Europe won't experience it because they still have Muslim savages that they have invited in to take over their cities and so forth. So, and some cities in America, quite a few, we will have we have to clean the savages out of our cities as well. All right. So, man convicted of Iran-backed Trump assassination plot. All right. So it's been going on all the way back to Butler, PA. And even the guy that supposedly was shooting at President Trump, I think the guy was already taken out, and they just staged him dead, and then had a body double Trump, and supposedly the one guy that got shot and killed. I don't believe it. I mean, I saw the way they handled him. I'm like, that is so rookie. Those guys needed to stage that a little bit better. Then, of course, he's standing up and fight. He would have been so fast out of there with a real protective detail. It would have made everybody's head spin because I've done those. And so I was like, broke it apart right away. Just like I do all these crazy shootings. I'm like, no, and F no. Right. So you can do your own research and come to your own conclusions. That's fine. Or you can trust the expert. It's up to you. Man convicted of Iran-backed Trump assassination plot compared his plan to Butler shooting, FBI says. So again, Asif Mershon, 47, of Pakistan, was found guilty Friday of plotting to assassinate the president and other politicians. He even said that some of his targets were President Biden and other people and so forth. It's pretty wild. Now, why would this guy do this? He said that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, sent him on a mission to kill U.S. politicians, including by telling him to attend a Republican rally, right? So he was arrested July 12th, the day before the shooting in Butler, where Thomas Crooks supposedly fired shots, right? And that was all good for, you know, ooh, rah, rah, rah. But it, you know, for those of us that have critical thinking, we looked at that and it's like, no, that wasn't real. All right. So Merchant, who was found guilty of all charges Friday after fewer than 2 hours of deliberation, was convicted by jury in Brooklyn, New York, of murder for hire and attempting to commit terrorism. He testified that Trump was not his only target, telling jurors then President Joe Biden and former presidential candidate Nikki Haley were also on his list. So Nikki Haley, being Republican nominee, or, you know, she was trying for it. He claimed and she was former governor of South Carolina and was she Secretary of State, or was she under Trump, or was she head of the UN? I forget, one of those. So he put her in a high-level position, and she backstabbed him, of course. I had no other options, Merchant said. My family was threatened, right? Just like they do with, you know, the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. They have ways to come in and, you know, control, because Iran is right on the border with Pakistan. And I even said that maybe we will see Pakistan going into Iran, but I doubt it. The Pakistanis are horrible fighters, and they get their asses handed to them so hard. So he faces a maximum penalty of life in prison. His sentence will be determined at a later date. So his family, I guess, still lives, and he's going to spend the rest of his life behind bars. Right. And I guess that's sometimes what some of these people give it up like that. You know, if it was me, I would die, I guess. All right. So I would go against them. I would take some of them out, and then I don't know, maybe they kill my family too. I don't know. So landing on American soil, hoping to kill President Trump. So, you know, in these situations, you're gonna have to make your own decisions, obviously. So he made his, and now he's gonna spend the rest of his life in prison. And who knows how he got himself set up for that. Maybe he, you know, got promised some good things, and it was like illegal activity that it was involved in. Who knows? So, you know, you want to, I know a lot of people want to go, oh, the poor man. We probably don't know the whole story, right? The FBI agent also said Merchant was told by an Iranian handler to attend a Republican political rally to scope out security. And he was worried about being identified, so he watched the rally online instead. Right? So I guess he told jurors that he has 2 wives, was a family man, and cared deeply about his family, his faith, and that he intentionally acted carelessly because he wanted to be caught. Well, that's an option too. So instead of going against your handlers and pissing them off so they kill your family, he just gets caught, and so he doesn't have to do bad, and his family gets off. I don't know. So who knows if that was the right choice, but I don't know. Maybe they'll do a little bit deeper insight into that and come up with something better. All right, so here is this one. She has a channel. I've seen it a few times, but she's done some shorts, and they're pretty clever. So I want to share a couple of these, and let her do the talking.
Iranian here. Here's a pro tip for everyone who's not from the Middle East. If you're going to let people named Jihad into your countries, you're probably going to have a bad time. Just saying.
All right. Seems pretty common sense to me, but you know, when you have people that are running the show, like the Biden administration, they had carte blanche for some reason. And then you have people like, you know, the governor of Texas and the governor of California, and the governor of New Mexico, and the governor of what's the other one? Arizona. So all these different governors allowed these terrorists to come into our country, all right? All of them. And they were in cahoots to a certain extent. How deeply remains to be seen, but they weren't stopping it. They didn't stop it. We knew that they were, and eventually we got together and we came to the border and started to protest, and then they started shutting it down. That was years after, all this, illegal trafficking is coming in. So Abbott, wheelchair bound, can't get around, I guess. He doesn't know what's going on. But the people of Texas, elected him over everybody else that would have done a much better job than him just recently. Sounds like it's rigged still in Texas, voting system. And I guess they still have voting machines in Texas. So how about that? And I've heard from some people that they said they voted on paper, but they came in and they put it in a machine to count it. And who knows how that counts. So there is definitely still problems throughout United States. Definitely there in Texas. And, some people didn't. You had Eye Patch McCain. He didn't, make it going forward. And that one potty mouth ghetto woman, that she didn't make it. And so there were several people. And then you have the Kane guy that hates Trump and gets thrown out of every event that Trump's at because he comes in, yells shit, and so they throw him out. So he has to go in and against another guy because you got to get at least 50% or more, or over 50%, I guess, in Texas to win. So that's going to be a problem, I think, going forward. We had Dr. Pete Chambers, former Green Beret and Delta guy. I had him on my show. I was like, he said everything right. Very informed, very obviously knowledgeable, and would have done great things for Texas. One of the things that he said that he would do to make Texas great again was when he was elected, he would arrest Abbott. Arrest Abbott. He knows just how bad Abbott is, right? And I think that's going to start coming out. And who knows, maybe they'll go, oh, you guys voted with the machines. You weren't supposed to do that, right? So that's all bullshit. Wipe it, right? Restart, reload, right? I don't know, guys. I'm very disappointed with our voting system. I thought Trump by now would have come in with executive order, but maybe that's further down the road. Who knows? Maybe this midterm gets delayed. Regardless, we're going to see a red wave on a scale that has never been seen ever in history. All right, so man shouts Allahu Akbar on UK EasyJet flight. Wanted to send message to Trump. So they're all, they're all against Trump. It's all Trump's fault. They didn't cause problems for the world. They're just doing their normal thing where they want to control and manipulate the whole world like the Democrats, right? So their ideology does not work for freedom-loving people and women who like to be less than dogs in a family. So man shouts Allahu Akbar. It says EasyJet flight from London to Glasgow on Sunday. So obviously there were some Scottishmen, Scottish, or I got a lot of Scottish in me, mostly Scottish, and I'm a great warrior. And I say that the Scotsmen are great warriors, and so they probably kicked this guy's ass. All right, so video footage showed a man shouting Allahu Akbar and claiming to have a bomb aboard an EasyJet flight. This was July 27th, 2025. He claimed he wanted to send a message. All right, there's a, I thought this was the most recent one. There's a recent one, I guess, just happened too. Same thing. So these idiots are, you know, they're not being slammed. So they're going to keep coming out of the woodwork. So video footage seen by Glasgow-based outlet, you know, showed passengers tackling. They had, I don't know, maybe they're, you know, from another country, but I bet they were Scotsmen. All right. So one passenger told London-based tabloid he literally came out of the toilet shouting Allahu Akbar with his hands above his head. Then he said, "I've got a bomb. I've got a bomb." At this point, people were confused. I thought he was joking. I mean, it's a weird joke. It's not a joke. Somebody says Allahu Akbar, you got to get the hell out of there, or you probably better get the hell out of there, because they really do have a bomb on a bomb vest. You would not survive, right? You would become pink mist. All right, so this is coming, guys. It's coming for America. Remember all that, you know, demolition that disappeared from that train, and still, and FBI still hasn't found it. You know, so that stuff's out there, and we're going to see a lot more going forward. Now, there will be some comfort for, you know, those places where you have the good old boys here in America, and I'll play this little clip, and you know, it's funny. All right, we got to have a little fun occasionally. Can't get serious all the time. So I know some of you guys just want to be serious all the time and moan and be mean and hateful, but I'm a loving guy. I'm just pointing this stuff out, and I have fun. I have fun putting it out. So Joe Rogan, let's see what this one says.
Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorite. Here it is. Listen, play this.
This is the United States of America, most powerful country on this planet. And it's not because we have more money, we're better looking. No, it's because we have something in this country they don't have in other countries. That's right. I'm talking about rednecks. Good old boys with an arsenal in their basement. They have been waiting for just such an occasion since 1775. Oh, believe me, foreign troops land in the South. There'll be a line of pickup trucks and NASCARs heading down I-95. Marines will show up 3 hours later, nothing but beer cans and shotgun shells. What the hell happened here? War's over, baby!
All right. Yep. That's the way it'll be in some places, but not in the North. Not in the North. Not in California. Not in New York. Not in Illinois. Right. I've been telling you, get out of those big blue cities. Right. All right, guys. And now let's get down to the wire. Days are numbered in those big cities. In fact, they've already started. So, and it's not just in the North, it's also in the South, like I said, in Austin. So this was an Austin shooting, deadly mass shooting, 3 people dead. And of course, the shooter himself shot by the police. And I guess he wounded like 14 or 15 people. So let's watch this.
Took the shooter down, and a warning before we play this that some of this may be disturbing.
Go! Everybody go! 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 Where is he?
All right, if the police come and say, everybody down, get the hell down. He needs a good shot. All right, so if you're standing there like that stupid look on your face, and then the shooter shoots you from behind, and then the cop's trying to shoot the shooter, and one of his bullets hits you too, it's probably not going to survive, right? So the smartest thing is just to get down, get out of the way, all right?
Where is he? He's on 6th Street. Where is he? Where is he? Push up!
All right, so you see all these people have run away, and they've chosen to get behind something, a barrier, to keep themselves safe, right? Now, you want to get behind something that's like concrete or, you know, car engine. Don't get behind the back end, because bullets can go through that. Right? So, and probably not in any other area but the engine. The engine will stop the bullets, right? So you got to think in these cases. You can't just go into fear, because you go into fear mode, then you're not going to be able to think, and you're probably going to die, right? So, and this is coming, not coming. Here it is. It's here. It's here now, guys. It's happening.
Just chilling video, and police today again confirming that they are still investigating possible ties to terrorism. They said that they are not ready to talk about that, but when they look at the evidence and the crime scene, that is certainly something that they're continuing to investigate.
Yeah, I guess the guy was wearing a shirt that said Allah on it or something, you know. So and he's from Senegal, and so I don't know, maybe here illegally, probably here illegally. So that's the way it's going to be. It's going to be. It's happening. It's starting. Right now, their headquarters in Tehran. We blew up all their leadership, and so maybe information is not getting out to them. But they probably have a kill switch. They probably know that if this happens, you don't get communication, then this is your countdown. If you see this happen, you go. There's a lot of that out there, right? That's the way a lot of these guys operate. So they don't necessarily have to have somebody call them up and say, okay, you're going to go down this street and you're going to start shooting people randomly. So you're having the onesies right now. When we start to have multiple shooters, it's going to get super ugly, right? And that's coming. All right. So the Austin bar. What to know about the Delhi Austin bar shooting? Of course, we also had the Afghan national. He was yelling Allahu Akbar, right? When he shot that one young National Guardsman, killed her, and wounded her partner, the guy. So here's a Fresno rampage suspects timeline of alleged crime. Chicago body cam shooting footage. Austin bar shooter was naturalized citizen from Senegal. What was he wearing? He was wearing, where is it? All right, he was wearing, here it is. Here he is. Property of Allah, right? So property of God, huh? And God wanted you to come out and kill non-Muslims, right? Yeah, that's the way. And that's why they yell Allahu Akbar, because they're giving the right by God to kill non-Muslims at that point. All right. So when you hear the Allahu Akbar, it's probably time, like I said, to skedaddle, right? And not run a few feet and jump behind an obstacle, you know. Now, if he's shooting, yes, and you hear bullets, you know, whizzing by, but if not, keep running. Get way out of there. Get way, way, way out of there, right? You don't need to go to your car. You can get back to it. When you get back to it, just get the hell out of that area, right? A lot of you guys are going to experience this, right? So it's on. All right, so here's another pro-Iranian tip, and that will lead into my next segment. So Gigi, take it away.
Iranian here with another pro tip for anyone who's not from the Middle East. If you're in a crowded place and someone randomly yells Allahu Akbar, run. No one in the Middle East randomly walks around yelling Allahu Akbar. The reason that Islamic terrorists yell Allahu Akbar before blowing themselves up is because they think murdering infidels is the way to get into heaven and get their 72 virgins. And if anyone says, well, some people might do it as a prank, why do you think people do it as a prank?
Yeah. Somebody does it as a prank, they get their ass beat, right? There's no fun about this anymore. We're at war, guys. So if this happens and somebody's playing a prank, there should be some kind of legal action for that, I would say. Now, here's I'm going to show you guys how long this has been going on. Terror threats, terror cells, and they're starting to talk louder about it, and they're starting to talk more about it. So Trump's White House is getting is sitting on a report warning of neighborhood heightened threats in the U.S. I don't know about that. Experts warn of potential terror strikes. Camouflaged among U.S. former FBI agent explains sleeper cells. The terrifying new threat, Iranian sleeper cells targeting rural areas. This was all back in July 9th of 2025. 6 days ago, FBI steps up monitoring of potential sleeper cells after Iran strike. Yeah, we can depend on the FBI, right? Not. Very grave threat of Iranian sleeper cells in U.S., experts warn. So if they tell you there's a threat, then they're off the hook, right? Guys, go out and start rounding these effers up and, kicking some ass so they don't kick our ass. And then we have to fight them. That's not the way this is supposed to work. So FBI alert, sleeper cells activated inside America. FBI Director Kash Patel placed counterterrorism teams on high alert following joint U.S.-Israel military strike. So counterterrorism teams, that's the HRT, hostage rescue teams. There's not a lot of them. I've worked with them over the years. I've had some of my SEAL buddies go into the HRT. There's not a lot of them, guys. It's not enough. Not even a drop in the, barely a drop in the ocean of what's needed, right? So we cannot depend on the FBI. In fact, most of the FBI is holdovers from Comey and Biden, and they're all dumbed down and idiots, right? So we're not going to get much satisfaction from the FBI. So U.S. gearing up for possible terrorist sleeper cell attacks on U.S. soil 5 days ago, right? So it's coming. They're telling you it's coming. I've been telling you it's coming for a long time, but who am I? Just 35 years in this, environment, knowing what these guys are about. Been warning this for 5 years. All right, so we're having cities, Democrat cities, being destroyed, like San Francisco area, right? Because why? Because the Democrats are like Muslims. They have the same ideology. They want to completely control everything. And those that they can't control, they want to, vaccinate, right? So we look at Iran. Somebody in one of my chats said they knew somebody from, they knew someone that had family in Iran, and they're saying that, remember how President Trump said there were 33,000 that were killed by the Iranian regime more recently, probably millions over time, but they said that those numbers are very undervalued. There's over 100,000 have been killed, right? Which is still a drop in the bucket when you look at the Biden administration forcing the vaccine. Millions have died from that. So, again, Democrats are like terrorists, all right? I've been saying this for so long, and I get a lot of pushback from it. And I know you Democrats out there don't like that. And probably not a lot of you watch me, but maybe some of you, more of you are starting to. And I hope so. I'm not trying to belittle you. I'm trying to educate you and give you critical thinking skills, right? Sausalito will never recover. Now, this is Metal Leo. I've shown this guy stuff. He's been all up and down the West Coast, showing all of the different cities, all up and down the West Coast that are collapsing, and there's hardly anything left in them. People don't come to them anymore. They're like sewers. They're turning ghetto. Like the Middle Eastern countries have the radical terrorists in them, right?
I believe that with these kind of views, all these places are shut down. We're right next to the water. Barely anybody out here. What a view. What a view this restaurant had. Views. You can see the Bay Bridge, you can see Alcatraz, and you can see the city of San Francisco.
Yep, used to be a lot of people go there. He talked about 6 years ago how we came to Sausalito and the streets were jammed. The restaurants were jammed. He had to sit outside in a little table because everything was jammed. Now there's hardly anybody eating these places, and these restaurants that have been there over 100 years are shutting down,
is unobstructed. Really cool. Known for its great restaurants, art galleries, and bars, traffic has slowed down a lot in this city. So much that a lot of their famous restaurants are closing. I'm at the Bridgeway Promenade, and I can tell you, this place is empty. Nothing like it used to be just about 6 years ago. This place is done. And this here used to be the Trident. After 127 years of history, it closed earlier this year in January 2026. Look at the size of this venue. I see one table there. Man, the Trident. What a tragedy. I see a few people way down there. Nothing crazy. And I started at that store. Of course, I deleted that. That's no longer up.
So it used to be restaurants, high-end, beautiful restaurants with great views. Hardly anybody's there anymore. The restaurants are shutting down. The art galleries are shutting down. The high-end clothing stores all shut. At least there, they don't have a homeless in the street at this point. At some point they will, though.
Here's another shop that is just closed right now. Branch closed back in. It doesn't say. It just says that they moved to a nearby branch, but that's on Mill Valley. The
banks are closing. So Wells Fargo, this bank that he's at, gone now.
$2017, gone. Oh, the bar is open. Of course, the bar is open, and they're busy. They're really going. This is closed for the day. Wine tasting is open. They got a few people in there.
So this is the weekend, and it's 5 o'clock, and all of these places are closed, right? In the past, it would have been open. It's like, Tim, it's a gay bar. I don't know. I saw a woman in there, so I don't know. Maybe she's gay too. So now Sausalito, I think that we've heard over the years that was a very, very high-end place. Rock stars and movie, high-end movie stars and so forth would hang out in Sausalito, but no more, right? So California and all of the great cities along the California coast are decimated now, right? So this is because of what we're seeing in the Middle East. The same mental mind state, right? The destruction of the communities and so forth that we're seeing, that we saw in Iran, is happening in LA. Now, Karen Bass, 15 trips to Cuba, right? Which is Marxist, Leninist, communist, right? Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. We've talked about this. How is she still there? They should have pulled her out a long time ago when this started to be exposed. And of course, they burned, portions of LA because there was no water. And I had Sheila Holm on, and she was talking about how the military was not allowed to go in and fight those fires and shut them down too. They could have. So this was purposeful, right? The destruction of California and her absolutely beautiful, amazing cities is ongoing. So bombshell report, incompetent LA Mayor Bass took 15 trips to Cuba. Communist Los Angeles Mayor, 15 trips to Cuba. Revolutionary Communist Mayor Karen Bass, same thing, same. with the Muslims, guys. Same thing, right? So that's why you're going to have terrorist outbreaks in a lot of these cities. 1.3 million Californians just forced a voter ID fight, and Gavin Newsom can't stop it this time. Something remarkable happened. I don't know how remarkable it is, but a grassroots petition effort to require voter identification in the nation's most populous state didn't just limp past its legal threshold. It blew past it. They needed 875,000. They got 1.3 million. La da da. So it's an initiative for the November 2026 ballot, which they're gonna, if they're not stopped, they're gonna cheat in, and they'll probably shut this thing down, right? Through illegal voting and manipulated voting and so forth. So yeah, great guys. You're at least moving someone in the right direction, but it's will it be too little too late, or will this be a groundswell that will basically overwhelm California, turn it red? I don't know. I'm extremely doubtful. So a Republican who chairs Reform California, Carl DeMaio, has been emphatic that this is not a partisan crusade. His group says nearly half of the 1.35 million signatures came from Democrats and independents, representing all 58 of California's counties. Polling overwhelmingly shows a supermajority consensus for voter ID requirements. So they're going to put the idea on the November 26 ballot. Oh, well, you're not going to like clean it up before then? You think you're going to get good people in November 26? That's why California's fucked, right? So there's going to be either an EO, executive order, mandating that this happens. And that doesn't mean there's not going to be still illegal voting, guys. Because we have illegals coming across the border. They give them a social security card. They take a social security card and get an ID with it. Hello. So they have to prove that they're a U.S. citizen. That's what we really need. Otherwise, California and a lot of other places are going to go bye-bye, right? California will not survive another Democrat administration. They will not. You guys in California, I don't even know if you're going to make it to November elections before shit hits the fan, right? I will be very surprised. All right, so yeah, again, Strait of Hormuz has to be opened. I just want to leave on that. And we're probably going to see, I would think, American military get involved in this, boots on the ground, right? And we're the best at that. And because we have, air superiority, I think it's going to be very effective. Now, a coordinated move by the Baluch, 82nd Airborne, potentially, the Kurds and the Azerbaijanis. I keep butchering that. Sorry, you guys up there. But, at some point, I think that all four of them moving simultaneously will spread out the, the 1 million plus, Iranian fighters, and see what happens, right? All right, guys, lots of love. Stay in the love vibration. Look at that sky back there. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing, amazing, beautiful. Here, let me shut off my light. And get out of the way. So, isn't that beautiful? All right. Sleep tight. Stay in the love vibration. We'll see you guys next time.